Here in our book An-Nahw al-Wadih, the clear Arabic grammar, we reached the 15th lesson, which is dealing with Jarul Ism. Jarul Ism, which is basically the things which pull a noun into being majroor. Jar, majroor. Jar means to pull, so it's pulling a noun down to being majroor. And we said that in previous passing bys, we've said that the origin or the asl for majroor is a kasra. And then there are other things which may take the place, like for instance in mamnu min as-sarf, it may become a fatha and be majroor. But that's not the rule. The rule is a kasra, and then there are substitutions for the kasra. But let's read our examples first, inshallah ta'ala. The sister Maryam, if she wants to has a question or something, then she can just type it, inshallah ta'ala. So the first example we have is Nazal al-mataru min as-sama'. Nazal al-mataru min as-sama'. The rain comes down from the sky. Nazala comes down, to come down. Al-matar is rain. Min as-sama'. Normally as-sama', and normally all verbs or all nouns to be majroor until, are going to be marfu', are going to be marfu' unless something happens to them. All nouns are going to be marfu' unless something happens to them. The same as in present tense verbs. Present tense verbs are going to be marfu' unless something happens to them. Right? When you put an, len, idin, k, then a present tense verb will become mansoob. If you put certain particles before the present tense verb, then it will become majzoom. And we said that a verb will never become majroor, ever. Does that mean it will never have a kasra? No. Doesn't mean that. It may have a kasra for reading purposes, as we've seen many times, such as even here in saratil. Down here in example number 4, we have a kasra on that ta, but really it's a sukoon, but the kasra is there for reading purposes, because we can't have a sukoon on the ta and a sukoon on the lam. So, to go back to where we're at, nouns are always going to be marfu' unless something comes in front of them which makes them mansoob or majroor. And a noun will never have a sukoon, ever. In Ajrumiyah, we find that there are 4 types of i'rab. I'rab means changing the last of the words due to something that entered upon those words. تغيير واحد الكلمة الاختلاف العوامل داخلة عليها. To change the end of a word due to something that came in front of it. That's i'rab. Right? That's i'rab. And that's what Nahw deals with. Now, we learned that there are 4 signs of i'rab. There's a dhamma, a fatha, a kasra, and a sukoon. For nouns, we have the dhamma, the fatha, and the kasra. That's nouns. And for verbs, we have the dhamma, the fatha, and the sukoon. So the kasra, as we see, is only circled by the red. It's only for nouns. And the sukoon is only for verbs. You will not find nouns having a sukoon on them. They're either going to have a dhamma, a kasra, or a fatha, or what takes the place of them. Meaning they're only going to be marfu, majroor, mansoob. So the origin of a noun is that it is marfu. And we've had, since we started class, we've had words like the fa'il or marfu, the mubtada is marfu, the khabar is marfu, the khabaru inna is marfu, the ismu kana is marfu, right? And then we had, as far as mansubat, those things which are mansub, those nouns which are mansub, we've had the maf'ulun bihi is mansub. We've had the ismu inna and its sisters as well. And we've had the khabaru kana. This is what we learned so far. When it comes to nouns. So we have nazal al-mataru min as-sama'. It should normally, as we said, be as-sama'u. As-sama'u. But because of min, and this fatha is for reading purposes, because we can't have a sukoon on the noon and a sukoon on the sin. And there are two scenes there. For anyone who says, well, there's a fatha on the scene. This first one has a sukoon, the second one has a fatha. That's why we have the shadda there, because there's two of them. Because this lam is because the scene is a sun letter, so it's doubled, and we don't pronounce the lam. So we say minas sama. So you can't have one over this first scene and over the noon. So we put a fatha there for reading purposes. But normally it's as-sama'u. But because of min, it becomes sama'i. You want to read the second one for us, Abdullah?
Yeah, just samaka.
Samaku.
Samaku, okay, Samaku minal bahr.
Naam. Ya'ti as-samaku min al-bahr. Ya'ti is it comes or he comes, because we're talking about a samak, which is fish. Min al-bahr. Basically, fish comes min al-bahr, from the ocean or sea or ocean, right? Comes from the ocean or sea, whichever one. Fish comes from the sea. Bahru is the origin, but because of min, then we have bahri. And just for the sisters' benefit, because this is their first time in the class, then we're not intending to teach An-Nahw al-Wadih from every example and every exercise in the book. No. Our purpose in this class that we hold 7 days a week is reading books. But in reading books, we need more than just vocabulary. We need some grammar as well. And so because of that, we decided to cover An-Nahw al-Wadih which touches on grammar, and we use the examples, and maybe we do something from an exercise or something, but not really. We just want to learn some grammar, enough that will take us and give us an understanding as we read. And if we memorize this, for instance, that huruf al-jar, when they come before a noun, they make it majroor, then when we're reading and we can bring that point up again, then those will be our exercises. So we're not going to do the exercises from the book itself, but we're going to take our exercises from our readings that we're doing in the Matun Talib al-Ilm. But we're going to do the first part of the An-Nahw al-Wadih in order to get the information that we need to understand the exercises that we'll find inside of the Matun Talib al-Ilm, inshallah. That's the plan. The next set of examples is Sa'a al-Jayshu ila al-Maydan. Sa'a is to hurry or to rush. Like we have the Sa'i bayna Safa wal Marwa. When you go back and forth between the two mountains in Umrah and Hajj, Sa'a, this is this is the hurrying between the two mountains to go back, because Hajar, Allah be pleased with her, she was running back and forth between the two mountains looking for assistance for her and her baby. So the Sa'a is to rush or to have concern about something. If you're concerned about something, you're not going to be taking a casual stroll. You're going to be doing it with some type of, purpose about what you're doing. So Sa'a al-Jayshu. Al-Jaysh is the army. Al-Jaysh is the army. Ila al-Maydan. Al-Maydan is the battlefield. Maydan. No, that's just the word, Maydan. Like Ar-Rahmanu al-Maydanu. You understand? Al-Maydanu. Ar-Rahmanu al-Maydanu. Right? But here it would be al-Maydani. Right? Because of ila. Zubair.
سارت الماشية إلى الحقل.
Al-Mashiyah here, he says, Sarat al-Mashiyah. Al-Mashiyatu ila al-Haql. Al-Mashiyah here means the cattle.
Alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So I just want you to go back to that. As you said something about repeat the second word.
I think I just did. Al-Mashiyatu. Sarat al-Mashiyatu.
I didn't know she was referring to this one before. Okay.
Jazakallah khairan. Sarat al-Mashiyatu ila al-Haql. Sarat. And this means to move, to go, right? Al-Mashiyah here is cattle. I don't know why they get it, how they get it from the origin, but that's the meaning of the word. Ila al-Haql. Haql is the field. Haql is the field. It would be marfu' until ila. It becomes haqli. Right? Because of ila. And this concept is pretty easy because it's one of the first things we learn when we're trying to learn Arabic is why we say certain things. When we try to learn some grammar, harf al-jar is one of the first things we learn, and we've already learned ismu inna wa akhawatuha wa kana wa akhawatuha and certain things we've learned, but it's important for us to just cover it again, to remember some of them, and just get some practice. For the sake of going through the book as it's supposed to be gone through. The next sentence, ينزل الجندي عن الحصان. ينزل جندي عن الحصان. ينزل, as we said, nazala is rain. Nazala al-matar, we said the rain comes down. Yanzilu is the present tense of that. Yanzilu jundi. Jundi is a soldier from the jaysh. Jundi is a soldier from the jaysh, from the army. Right? From the military. It's not necessarily Marines or anything like that. Jundi is a soldier. Yanzilu al-jundi. The soldier comes down. An al-hisan. An al-hisan. Yanzilu an here means from. Doesn't mean on. Someone might think this to mean Yanzilu jundi an al-hisan to mean the soldier got down on the horse. But no, it means to get down from the horse. Hisan is horse. From the hisani. Just like Maidani, Hisani, right? That's the word itself. It's not a plural or a dual, but that's the word. Hisan, Maidan, those are the words. They're not duals like Kalimatan, Habibatan, not like that. Hisan is the word, just like Mizan and Lisan. Those are the words. They're not dual. They're not two tongues or two scales, but Mizan is the scale. Lisan is the tongue. One of them. Here, same thing. Hisan, Maidan. So they're not plurals. They're just. That's how the word is formed. Yanzil jundi an al-hisan. The soldier is down from the horse. You want to read number 6, Abdullah?
No. يذهب الخوف النتف.
Naam. Yadhabu is to go, right?
No.
Al-khawf is fear. An-tifl. An-tifli. Right? And again, this kasra here, and this kasra here, which would be, it's not printed very well. It's for reading purposes. Right? An-tifl. Basically, fear goes away from the child. An-tifl, the child. Right? One thing I want to point out real quick, just because we've covered it. If we notice, khawf is marfu', jundi is marfu', al-mashiyatu is marfu', al-jayshu is marfu', as well as al-matar is marfu', and the samik is marfu', because they come right after the fi'l, and they're the fa'il. Nazal al-matar, the rain comes down, the fish come, the jaysh hurries, the mashiyah, the cattle go, right? So they're the fa'il. The fa'il is marfu', as we said, right? The fa'il is marfu'. So يذهب الخوف عن الطفل. The fear goes away from the child. The fear goes away from the child. All of this is just to prove that an, the words after min, in ila, in an, they make the noun that comes after them majroor. They make the ism, which is the word for noun, they make the ism that comes after them majroor, and they're not going to appear before anything except an ism. You're not going to find min yadhhab, min yanzil, ila sa'a, or ila sarat. You're not going to find an yadhhab or an yati. You're not going to find that. One of the signs of a noun, of an ism that we find inside of al-ajrumiyya. How do we know something is a noun? Because it can have al-khaft, which is what we explained. It can have jar. It can have a kasra or what takes the place of it. Whereas verbs never take that. It can also have alif lam. If it can take alif lam, if a word can yadhabu take alif lam? For the beginner who don't know anybody, al-yadhab, maybe, but for the Arab, they know that al-yadhab will never work. This is why it's difficult to teach Arabic grammar to someone who doesn't know Arabic, because you don't know if al will fit on there. You don't know if a kasra will go on there. You don't know if, and it's hard to teach the Arabs that don't know good Arabic because that speak Amiyah, because they might throw on a verb, not knowing any better, right? So it can have khaft or jar, which is to take a kasra or what substitutes a kasra. It can have alif lam, or it can have tanween, any type of tanween. A verb never takes tanween. Or it can have the huruf al-jar, which we're going over now, min, wa ila, wa an, and we'll go over some more inshallah here in a few minutes. But that's the purpose. These will never appear, these huruf al-jar will never appear before a verb, ever. They're only going to come before a noun. So we know that this is a noun, this is an ism because of a few things. If we put this kasra on here, then we will know that this is a noun by 3 ways. Because of an in front of it, because of alif lam, and because of the kasra. All those 3 things show us that this tifl for sure is a ism. And up and down the pattern that we've looked at so far is the same thing. Now if we didn't have alif lam, we said an tiflin. An tiflin, we would say we got 3 signs. We have an, right? We have jar, which is the kasra, and we have tanween as well. All 3 of those things are signs that it's an ism. Now will you always have 3 signs? No, it could just be 2. You could have something majroor without an in front of it, like something mudaf ilay, like Abdullahi, right? And using this, we know from that Allah's name, Lafzul Jalala, is majroor because of alif lam and because of the kasra. Not because there's a harf of jar in front of it and there is no tanween. We only got 2 signs there. Right? Okay. Yatfu al-khashabu al-ma. Yatfu is to float. To float. Al-khashabu is wood. Al-khashab. You hear this a lot. Like, is the table, is it from khashab or hadid? Is it from wood or steel? Or is it from khashab, or is it like manufactured stuff, right? Is it, what is it called in English? Particle board, right? Is it, no, هذا من خشب. قوي, جيد, khashab. You know, they're telling you it's made from something strong, it's not fake, right? Khashab. يَأْفُ الْخَشَبُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. The wood floats on water. After ala, the ism becomes majroor. So we can add that to our chart. Min wa ila wa an. In fact, I'm going to do it like this because in Ajrumiyah, it gives it to us in pairs. Min wa ila, an wa ala. This is easy to memorize. From and to, and Ain and Ala, both of them have an Ain. Zubair, you want to read the next one?
يسقط الثمر على الأرض.
يسقط, سقط, يسقط, to fall. الثمر is fruit. And again, if we're paying attention, the word after the fi'l is marfu' because it's the fa'il. The wood floats. It's doing the floating. The thamar yasqut. It's doing the falling. Al-ard. The fruit falls on the earth. Al-ardi. That's the purpose there, right? Al-ardi. Ba'da ala, the ism becomes majroor. ينبه الكلب في البستان. ينبه, نبه, ينبه, to bark. To bark. ينبه الكلب. The dog barks. Fa'il, right? That's the fa'il. ينبه الكلب في البستان. The dog barks in the garden. Al-Bustan is like Maidan, like Hisan, like Lisan, like Mizan. It's not a dual. That Alif Noon is not the Alif Noon of dual. It's not the Alif Noon of dual, of two. That's part of its word. Al-Bustan is garden, but after fi, it becomes majroor. So we can add to our chart here. You can say fi, min wa ila, wa ain wa ala, wa fi. Abdullah, read the next one.
Dakala mujarimu.
Mujrimu.
Mujrimu. Fisijin.
نعم. دخل المجرم في السجن. The criminal, al-mujrim, enters into the prison. Right? The criminal entered into the prison. Again, we have our dhamma for being marfu' for the fa'il, and we have a kasra here, even if it's not written. If I were to ask you, Abdullah, without that being written there, what is the sound, what is the vowel marking on sijin, what would you say?
Kasra.
Why?
Because of the fee.
Because of the feet. Exactly. So now, we're starting to see how Arabs can read without vowels. We're starting to see how they can read without vowels because we know fi comes, it's going to be sijin. Sorry about that, I lost my connection for a second. And we can tell by all of these that it is a noun because of the harf jar, because of the alif lam, because of the khaft or the jar on the end of it. قشرت الفاكهة بالسكين. قشرت, قشر, يقشر, قشر is to peel. قشرت, I peeled الفاكهة بالسكين. I peeled the fruit with a knife. بالسكين. فاكهة. Why does it have a fatah here, man? All our other verb, the nouns after the verb, they had a dhamma. Why all of a sudden this one's got a fatah?
Because it's not the dual.
مفعول به.
It's the maf'ulun bihi, mansub. It's the object of the verb.
Yeah.
The one who did the verb is tu, ana, me, I did it. Kashartu, ana, I did it. That's represented with the tu. Right? That's the fa'il. The al-fakihata is the maf'ulun bi. Bis-sakini, right, with the knife. Right, with the knife. Here he adds bit. Even though in Ajrumiyya there's another one that goes here. We'll go there in a minute, inshallah ta'ala. Who's this? This is Zubair's turn to read, huh? Can you read this one, Zubair? Number 12.
يتقاتل الجنود بالسيوف.
Now, Junud, what do we think this means?
The armies are fighting with swords.
Yeah, the armies are fighting. Junud, we had the word earlier, Jundi. That's one soldier. Junud, the soldiers, are armies, no problem, right? Yeah, but no problem. If you say armies, no problem. Right? Junud will be plural of Jundi though, no problem. Yataqatalu, and here we said, when we talked about yesterday in the hadith we were going over, when we add this ta and this alif here, like in tahabu, right? Tahabu, like that. When we add this ta and this alif, then this one here, then this shows the mutual action between two of them. Two or more people taking part. So we know, for instance, qatala, a qatala is to kill. Qatala is to kill. That could be from one side. This one killed this one. He didn't have anything to do with it. They were at the ATM. They didn't even fight back. They just got killed. Whereas qatala, then this shows this alif here, and in taqatala, it shows mutual back and forth. So this one is called qatala, is fighting. Taqatala is fighting. Yataqatalu al-junudu, again the fa'il, bis-suyuf, which is the plural of safe. Right, plural of safe, sword, safe. Bis-suyufi. The point here is after bit, suyuf became, suyufu became suyufi. Then the last example that we have here is al-ja'izatu lis-sabiq. Al-ja'iza, like the word jaza, jazakallahu khaira, the reward, right? Al-ja'iza here is the prize. Al-ja'iza is the prize, like jazakallahu khairan, may Allah reward you. Ja'iza is a prize. Al-ja'izatu lis-sabiq. Li here is for, or belongs to. For or belongs to. As-sabiq, the one who preceded. The one who preceded, but that doesn't sound right. We say sabaqa yasbuqu is to proceed. But the one who preceded, what would we say in English? What makes sense in English? The one who preceded, that doesn't really sound right. So what would it be in English?
The one who went before.
Got there
The
first
winner.
or something. The winner.
The winner. The winner. You got a finish line. That don't look like a finish line. That looks like a box, right? You got the finish line with tape across. The one who goes through first, he went through first. But he's the winner. He preceded everybody else. He's the winner. Right? That's why competition is called musabaqa. Competition to see who proceeds, to see who goes first, right? To see who wins. So sabaqa, al-ja'izatu lis-sabiq. The prize is for the winner. The prize for the winner. Go ahead, Abdullah.
اشتريت كفلا للخزانة.
What'd you say here? I don't know, my audio went out or something.
اشتريت كفلا للخزانة.
Now, qafl or qafl is a lock. Right? A lock. Qafl is a lock. Khazana, khazana is a, like what we might say in English, a wardrobe. Right? But it's a closet. See, in the Middle East, they don't build closets. Like in America, you have to have a built-in closet for that room to be considered a bedroom. Right? You have to have a window and a closet, like, for that thing to be considered a bedroom. In the Middle East, it's just a square room. There is no closet. You got to go buy a khazana. You got to go buy a khazana. You got to go buy a closet. Like a locker, but it could be fancy or not fancy or whatever. Some of them have 3 doors, 4 doors, mirrors, whatever. Khizana. You got to go buy that and put it in your room. فَاشْتَرَيْتُ قُفْلًا لِلْخَزَانَةِ. Again, قُفْلًا, because it's the object of the buying. How do we know that quflan is a noun from the signs that we talked about today? How do we know that?
Tanween.
Tanween. Ishtaraytu quflan. It could be a verb because it has a fatha and verbs take fatha, but and it doesn't have alif lam, so it could still be a verb. And it doesn't have a kasra, so it could still be a verb. However, it has tanween, so we cancel out the fact that it could be a verb. Lil khizana, or khazana, they say as well. Khizana, khazana. There might be one fusha, but you hear both. Khizana, khazana. For the closet. Khazana T. Right? For the closet.
So Lil,
اشتريت
what
قفلا.
the lamb makes it with the kasra.
The li makes it a kasra. Yes. So here we can add our lamb. Now there's 2 things missing here. There's 2 harful jars missing here that were not mentioned in this book that are mentioned in al-Ajrumiyah. There are 2 harful jars or huruful jars that are not mentioned here that are mentioned in Ajrumiyah. The first of them is, do it in a different color because it's not mentioned. Rubba. Rubba. Rubba, if it appears before a noun, it's going to make it majroor. Rubba means kind of like perhaps. Right? Like we know the word rubbama. It means maybe. Rubbama means maybe. So rubba, like maybe I meet somebody like this. Rubba. Anyway, You're not going to hear it a whole lot, but you will read it. And then the other one we're missing is kaf. Right? Kaf. Right? So, I believe we had one in our book in the last day or two. Escapes my mind right now. I thought we had a kaf recently. Okay, yeah, the hadith we were doing yesterday. مثل الجليس الصالح والسوء كحامل المسك. Right? Like حامل المسك والنافخ الكير. Right? So it says inside of the hadith we're doing yesterday. حامل المسك. Ka is going to make hamil become majroor. So inside of ajrumiyya it brings these 9. Min, wa ila, wa an, wa ala, wa fi, wa rubba, wa ba, wa kaf, wa lam. When these appear before a noun, they're going to make it majroor, and they only appear before a noun. They only appear before nouns. And when they do, they're going to make that noun majroor. Now, as we said, being majroor, the asl is a kasra. The asl is a kasra. But if it's mamnu min as-sarf, it's going to be a fatha. Right? So, let me give you an example. If it's dual, if it's something that's dual, it's going to be a ya. So, for instance, we have kalimatani. Kalimatani. Now this word is marfu'. This word is marfu'. The asl for marfu' is a dhamma. But when it comes to two things, then the sign of it being marfu' is going to be the alif. So when we have min, for instance, or if we said there are the same letters in the two words, fi al-kalimataini. Our sign for majroor here is a ya. Our sign for marfu' here is a dhamma. The asl is a dhamma. It has signs. It could be an alif, it could be a waw, it could be a noon. These three things take the place of a dhamma. So for instance, we have Muslim, Muslimun. Dhammas, right? When we make it a plural, Muslimun. This noon is now our sign, or this wow rather, Asif. This wow is our sign for the marfu'. So these things, same thing, when we have a kasra, it could be a fatha. When it becomes majroor, it could be a fatha. Like in Fatima ta. We say Fatima tu. If this is a gift, min Fatima ta. Because Fatima doesn't take a kasra, it's mamnu min as-sarf. The same thing with the ya, as we showed here in kalimatayn. And there are other signs for majroor besides the fatha and the ya. But I'm just giving you an example. But the rule, or the origin, is a kasra when it appears after these 9 huruf al-jar. The origin is a kasra, but it could be something other than that, depending on the type of noun that it is following. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
In fact, it can only be those 3 for the majroor. It can only be for majroor. It's only the kasra, the fatha, or the ya. The kasra is the origin. The kasra is the origin. But the ya will take its place, and like we said, and 2. When it's majroor and there's 2, it's going to become kalimatayn. The ya is going to take its place. If it's mamnu' min as-sarf, it will be a fatha. Right? The only time the ya will be there is in the asma al-khamsa, which is abu. We have abu ka. If we say, let me get a new page for asma al-khamsa. We have ab, wa akh, wa ham, wa fam, wa dhu. Okay, when we add a pronoun to any of these, I can't just put, like we said, in bait. And bait, baytun. When I want to add your house, I say baytuka, and I add it directly to it. If I want to do that with these 5 nouns, ab, which is father, akh, which is brother, ham, which is brother-in-law, fem, which is mouth, and dhu, which is possessor of. Then if it's marfu, I have to add a dhamma. I mean a wow. Abu ka, akhu ka, hamu. I just try to add it without doing it. Hamu ka, bu ka. If I drop my meme and dhu, right, don't have anything to do with ka, right? But dhu mal, possessor of money. Now, when I want to make it majroor, this is min abika, abika, min akhika, min hamika, min fika. Right? Our ya becomes the sign of majroor. Our ya becomes a sign of majroor in 2 cases. When the word is dual, and in the asma al-khamsa that we just mentioned, the fatha is a sign of majroor in words that are mamnu' min as-sarf, and our kasra is our origin. Our kasra, that's our origin for majroor. Any questions?
Give me an example of the fatha.
Huh?
Give me an example of the fatha.
I did. Min Fatima ta.
Okay.
Fatima does not take a kasra.
Okay. That's kind of like
It's,
about the only kind of way.
yes, when it's mamnu' min as-sarf. If you have a word that is mamnu' min as-sarf, it does not take tanween, right? And it does not take a kasra. It's called mamnu' min as-sarf. So when it becomes majroor, it becomes majroor with a fatha. So في مساجد في مساجد in masjids because masajid is mamnu min as-sarf. Now I explained to you, and it could further confuse you, but you have to hear it over and over, no problem. If I add an alif lam to a word that is mamnu min as-sarf, it becomes capable of sarf. So it will be fil masajidi. If I add an alif lam, but by itself it's mamnu min as-sarf, it's going to become majroor with a fatha. And as I said, we're going to get plenty of examples of this, right? When it comes to the books, the hadith, and the Nawaqid al-Islam and all that, we're going to get plenty of examples of all of this. We're just building up. We start out reading, now we're learning the grammar that we need to learn, inshallah ta'ala. Any other questions? It's about to hang up on us.